Hello there, and welcome to this episode on the DPF Team TV. So, we are ready to go to the next stage of our build, and I'm talking about the 1UZ current build that we're working on. If you have been following the build, you know very well that we put a 1UZ in a Toyota Brevis, one of one. And I haven't seen any other one online. Maybe somebody else with a Brevis has already done this, but I think we are one of one on the internet. So we put a 1UZ and we put a massive boat turbo on the vehicle, which is a Holset HX40. That's what we are running. It is also on standalone ECU Master standalone. And it's also running a Mishimoto intercooler and with 3-inch pipes, BMW gearbox transmission, GS653DZ from a 530 diesel. What else? Stock injectors, everything is pretty much stock. Engine has been unopened. That's where we are at the moment. So last weekend I was with the car at the track. I took the car to the track just to tune it and to just get it, running at an acceptable level. I wanted to limit the boost to only something like 3 or 4 psi, and therefore I'd set the ECU to cut if it does anything above what I really wanted. And I noticed that right off the bat that the turbo really didn't want to run very low boost. It really wanted to push a lot of air, but it really wanted to push a lot of air into the engine, and which, like I said, is not something that I wanted to do. Is obviously, as I mentioned, it's got skinny rods. It has got a very high compression. We end up running into issues of detonation and so forth. So the next stage that we are going to go on to is to actually do the pistons and rods. I think maybe tomorrow or maybe day after, the engine should be out of the vehicle and we should actually be taking it apart. Now the reason why I didn't want to do that right away when we started the build, the reason why I didn't want to do that is because I wanted to limit the amount of testing. Right, to limit the amount of testing that we had to do. The problem of having so many things that you have done and having to test it at the same time is that you might not be able to troubleshoot. You might not be able. You end up getting confused where the issues are coming from because you've been touching so many things at the same time. So that's what I wanted to limit. That's why I just put the motor in the unopened. Of course, if you've been following the channel, you've seen that we first of all started it on the pallet. Made sure that the engine is starting, made sure that the engine is running, and we're happy that happened. And then we had to, when we put it in the engine bay, we knew already we've got a motor that has already started, that already wants to run, right? And then putting the giant turbo and the gearboxes and so forth, all that we again had to test at the track to just make sure all that is working together very well. But the thing that we've noticed, like I said, is the turbo doesn't want to run low boost. It really wants a lot of boost. That's what it wants, to run a lot of boost. If you try to start it, try to make it run low boost, it will not. It just doesn't want that. Another thing I noticed is I was thinking that boost will come a little bit later, like maybe 5,000 RPM or maybe something like that, since this is a massive turbo. But to my surprise, the turbo is coming in a bit sooner, which can actually be a problem. I had to adjust that by playing around with the spark, because you'd find out that if you're running late spark, it will come a bit earlier, like at around 2,500 RPM. You're already seeing the turbo already making boost somewhere there, which is not so good. But at about 3,500, after some adjustment, it will then end up starting at about 3,500, and which is okay, which is better than what I actually expected. So I'm very stoked about that. So what we're going to be doing, like I said, is we're just going to be taking the motor apart, and we're going to be doing the rods and pistons. That's the next stage we're going to be getting. But at the same time, probably that's the progress that we're at, and probably at the same time as I'm talking to you, I might show you how. I'm really stoked about this dash. It comes out. It's really coming out. It really came out nice. I've got now. This is the first time I'm actually starting it today, so let's just get it to run. So it's not so loud, it's not too loud, the engine, and I'm happy about that. I will tell you that I'm really in love with this dash, honestly. It's quite bright, and just being able to customize it the way that I want to. I still haven't gotten the fuel gauge to actually work, so I don't know how much fuel there is in the tank. I ended up running out of fuel at some point, but yeah, that's that. But otherwise, forging the internals, that's the next stage we are going to, and yeah, this should be fun. So the man you see driving the car is actually my dad. This is actually the first time he has driven this car in like 7 years. I don't mean we've kept it around, we've just kept the car sitting. So now it's got a fresh motor. He's definitely going to enjoy it more now. But yeah, this is actually the first time he's driving it in 7 years. That's what it's supposed to be. If you don't want it to be crazy, it should just be a normal car. So going forward, two things are going to happen here. Obviously, we were trying to run a very low boost of something like what, 3, 4, at the most 5 psi, but we had installed a 3 psi spring, and we're noticing that boost is actually going all the way up to something like 7 psi, and what is then cutting so that we don't go beyond 7 psi is the limits that I'd actually put on the ECU, so that it actually does a hard cut. So what that tells me is that the wastegate is a little bit smaller than what it should actually be. So probably we should deal with that wastegate, increase the wastegate. I'm thinking of actually putting an external wastegate, 44 millimeter. That's what we're going to be going with. But at the same time, I think it's also obviously it's going to increase our tuning window. We'll probably be able to run lower boost, maybe 7 pounds, I think, 6 pounds. I'm hoping that they should be able to allow us to run lower amounts of boost, because I can tell you that it will keep on going. If we hadn't put limits on the ECU, I think it will probably keep on going to probably something like 12, because from my research I'm noticing that this turbo is actually designed to make at least 12 pounds, at least 12 pounds. That's the minimum. I think 12 or 13 or 14 pounds, that's like the minimum that it should actually be making, and I don't think these internals are designed to be able to handle this. So in the next video we're actually going to be doing a tear down of the engine. We are actually going to be doing the internals. We had them, lying around for almost a year now. Obviously we were planning to do this, but like I said, we were just limiting the amount of things that we wanted to test. So we have tested the car, we've driven it. We know that the only issue that we now need to deal with is that of the wastegate, and lastly the internals. And I think the car should be where it is supposed to be, and then I think it should be fun going forward.